It's so hot here, metal door handles can burn skin in seconds. Yet 300 people call it home. The first thing you feel isn't the heat, it's the pressure. A dry, invisible weight settles on your lungs like an extra atmosphere. Your chest tightens, your throat narrows. Within seconds, breathing becomes deliberate, calculated, like operating a machine instead of a body. The air itself shimmers, warping the horizon, bending the sky. This is an illusion. It's light struggling to pass through air so dense with heat, it behaves like water. Welcome to Furnace Creek, California. Latitude 36.4 degrees north. Elevation 282 feet below sea level. Lower than the ocean floor, just miles away. The valley is a geological trap. Heat descends, cools, intensifies. The scorched ground bounces radiation back upward through the same superheated air. It's a pressure cooker without a release valve. Here, the planet built its own oven and forgot to add an off switch. In July, thermometers reach 134 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest air temperature ever recorded on Earth. A place where shoes melt to asphalt and car tires hiss when they stop moving. Even the rocks seem alive, radiating the day's anger long after sunset. But for 300 people, this isn't a statistic, it's a home. They wake up here. They work here. They raise families here. They sweep dust from porches while thermometers scream red, as if the routine itself proves survival is possible. They check mailboxes under skies bright enough to bleach color from your eyes. And somehow they smile. Why? Maybe pride, maybe stubbornness, or maybe they've discovered what most never do. That survival teaches you how to truly live. So how does a town survive inside Earth's pressure cooker? Before we meet the people who call this place home, you'll need to understand the terrain, a landscape built to challenge both the body and the mind. But before we see how they survive here, you need to meet the people who chose to stay. When the sun rises over Furnace Creek, it doesn't rise, it attacks. By 7 a.m., the shadows are gone, the sky turns metallic, and every surface becomes a mirror for heat. Yet behind those glowing windows, life begins. A park ranger laces his boots for a 4 a.m. patrol, racing daylight like it's a living thing. A local artist, Elise, paints only under red lamps at night. The daylight would warp her pigments before she can blend them. And down the main stretch, a maintenance worker checks the road temperature with a laser thermometer. By 10 a.m., the soles of his boots turn tacky, and the smell of hot rubber mixes with desert dust. These people call it routine. But their routine is a quiet form of rebellion against physics itself. There are only about 300 of them, clinging to a place the rest of the world avoids. Rangers, mechanics, families who've learned to read the desert like a language. They've built a rhythm out of impossibility. Groceries arrive before dawn to avoid tire melt. Air conditioners run in shifts, monitored from a control room like ICU equipment. Even mail delivery depends on the forecast. When a highway hits 130 degrees Fahrenheit, it becomes off-limits. Still, they adapt. One resident laughs. We keep our porch shaded, not for comfort, but so we know tomorrow will feel survivable. Here, survival isn't dramatic. It's procedural. You learn to test every door handle with your knuckle, not your palm. You learn the tone of a humming vent. And when that tone falters, you stop breathing for a second. Because here, you don't conquer the desert. You negotiate with it. Every hour, every heartbeat. But last July, that negotiation broke. One generator failed. And for the first time, the desert stopped waiting for permission. It started with a hum, then a groan. The generator that powers half the town's air conditioners coughed its last breath at 3:42 p.m. Within minutes, the control room smelled of overheated circuits. A heat wave that should have been routine was suddenly personal. Panic spread fast. Fans whirred uselessly. Road crews abandoned trucks, soles sticking to asphalt, shoes smoking lightly. Inside homes, the mercury climbed faster than anyone could track. Then, an improvised save. A fountain pump, repurposed in minutes, sprayed a thin mist over the generator housing. Sparks died. Hum returned. A temporary miracle, engineered in desperation. It bought enough time for the residents to breathe, but not to relax. This is the reality of Furnace Creek. The infrastructure is a fragile armor, tested constantly by the desert's invisible hand. Long-term lessons followed quickly. Reflective coatings were applied to generators. High R-value insulation shielded utility boxes. Car engine fluids were swapped for desert-grade formulas. Tires monitored with laser thermometers. Yet these solutions aren't preventative. They're reactive. The first summer, 3 locals ended up in the clinic between 3 and 5 p.m. Now, everyone knows, when shadows start shrinking, you get inside. Even the 4 p.m. lockdown is a learned response, a ritual born from harsh trial. Even machines falter. A rickety awning collapses under warped metal. A solar panel bends and slides, clanging like a warning bell. Every element in Furnace Creek conspires to remind residents that human control is always temporary. Imagine your car breaks down right now. You have 30 minutes of battery left, a blistering sun overhead, and no one around. What's the one survival item you wish you had? Comment below. Then see how Furnace Creek residents answer the same challenge every day. It started as a shimmer on the horizon. A lake glimmered in the distance, pale blue against the molten landscape. A tourist, convinced it was real, drove toward it for what should have been a 20-minute detour. Hours later, a rescue team found her 40 miles off course. She had been driving for what felt like 20 minutes, but the sun had twisted time and perception. Her body didn't recognize danger until it was too late. Indoors, the danger waited silently. A local technician collapsed in his kitchen. The thermostat read 118 degrees Fahrenheit. The air conditioner had failed. The backup had been delayed. He wasn't trapped outside. The desert had followed him inside. This is the second heat. Invisible, insidious, and relentless. Cognitive drift sets in when the body overheats. The brain miscalculates distances. Objects shimmer, warp, and vanish. The desert doesn't just test the body, it tricks the mind. Scientists call it heat blindness, but the effect is more than visual. Chronic dehydration amplifies hallucinations. Reaction time slow. Judgment falters. Even simple tasks, reading a map, pouring water, walking to the porch, become gambles. Residents learn to read subtle signs. The tone of a fan, the smell of overheated wiring, the ripple of heat across the asphalt. These signals guide every decision. Mistakes are costly, sometimes terrifying, yet even in failure, they adapt. One morning, a generator sparks, another outdoor awning collapses, and still, they adjust routines instantly. Every misstep teaches a lesson. The desert has rules, and breaking them can be unforgiving. Some return from the mirage. Others never do. And while bodies survive, minds can unravel. That's the real measure of Furnace Creek. But what happens when the heat meets isolation and the mind starts to fray? We'll explore that next. Why would anyone come here? To stand where the air feels molten, where the horizon ripples like a mirage, even in the shade. To witness extremes few will ever survive. Tourists arrive with cameras, sunglasses, and bravado. Some venture out at noon, stepping on asphalt that softens underfoot. They gasp at the distorted horizon, snapping pictures of hills that seem to shimmer and dance. Few realize that the beauty is a lie, an illusion crafted by heat, light, and human expectation. Yet there is truth here too. Rare rains coat the valley floor in shimmering salt. Shadows stretch impossibly long at dawn and dusk. Colors burn into memory. Ochres, reds, and yellows so saturated they almost hurt to look at. It's a land designed to overwhelm the senses. For the residents, the draw is different. It's mastery of self. They've learned to love the silence, a silence so vast and complete it scrubs the noise from your mind. Every day survived isn't just a victory, but a quiet declaration of perfect solitude. It's an addictive peace, a paradoxical serenity carved from danger. The paradox is irresistible. A place that threatens death also teaches life. You respect it, fear it, and yet you return. For some, it's the ultimate curiosity, not a thrill park, not a desert hike, but a crucible of endurance, patience, and perception. For others, it's simply home. But while thousands may visit, only a few choose to stay. One ranger returned after leaving, and his reason explains everything Furnace Creek is. Let's meet him. He left once, after a summer where the sun scorched every surface and the air weighed on his chest. The ranger packed up. He told himself he'd seen enough, that no paycheck or duty was worth the daily confrontation with an oven carved by the earth itself. But a year later, he returned. Not for money, not for pride. He came back for the rhythm, the way the desert teaches patience, endurance, and humility. He came back for the silence, so complete it reshapes the mind, for the rare mornings when the horizon shimmers orange and the air is alive with heat, yet perfectly still. Furnace Creek isn't a place on the map. It's a crucible where the earth tests the ultimate limits of human will, and where the human spirit often, surprisingly, prevails. He smiles as he sweeps the dust from his porch, the same ritual that seems simple to outsiders. But to him, it's proof that living here is a choice, a daily act of defiance and acceptance intertwined. Could you find beauty in a place designed to kill you? Comment below. Would you stay, leave, or return like you did?